Hi there, I'm Kevin Benedict, Senior Vice President of Solutions Strategy here at Regalix, and I want to thank everyone out there for joining us today. I'm really excited to have as my guest today, Rob Sayre. Rob, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. It's an honor to be here.
So Rob is President of Hospitality Sales for 1888 Mills, one of the last remaining textile manufacturers in the US. And again, we're going to talk about digital transformation in this classic and traditional environment. And we're going to learn from Rob today, how did his company and what did it do, in fact, to survive in this challenging economic environment in the textile industry. So before we get going, Rob, where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from beautiful Griffin, Georgia. It's about 45 minutes south of the Atlanta airport.
All right. Well, you know, that's closer than most places in Atlanta to the airport. But, you know, when I'm in Atlanta flying in and out, man, the trip just to get to the airport can take hours, it seems like.
Yes, it's actually, you know, traffic south isn't bad. Once you get north in Atlanta, it's pretty hairy.
Oh, well, thank you again for joining us here. So tell us about 1888 Mills. And is that how you say it? You don't say 1,888. You say 1888 Mills?
The 1888 Mills. Yeah, so 1888 Mills is a global textile manufacturer servicing retail, hospitality, and healthcare industries. So we own our own mills. We manufacture in the United States, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. And the name 1888 has come from our history. Towels have been made in Griffin, Georgia since the year 1888, and we're a descendant of that.
Oh, wow. Well, this is going to be very interesting. You know, I had a little business in Bangladesh in textiles back in 1995. I was supplying phone service, international phone service to the textile industry in Bangladesh. So, but I had, you know, this much view into it, but it was just a fun little side business I had back then. So, Rob, so it's been a challenging environment. Matter of fact, I was reading some statistics today that just said textile and fabric finishing mills, their employment dropped by 44% between 2007 and 2016 in the USA. That's a challenging environment.
Yes, it was. So the textile industry used to be a protected industry in the United States. There was a quota system. And then once the quota system went away, you know, production moved offshore, and a lot of the big mills that used to exist, you know, no longer do, or they exist in a minor form of their former selves now.
So talk to me about, you know, how did that impact competition at that point? And wasn't that like 1974 or something when those protections went away?
No, they went away. They went away in the late 90s, early 2000s. So prior to that, I mean, you know, the town I'm in now, Griffin, Georgia, and actually this Southeast in general, textile industry had been huge for many generations. And it was a really, really tough blow to the Southeastern United States when the quotas went away. And, you know, we, and I would say my management team, my CEO and the board here we have at 1888 and their foresight, they did see the value in keeping a footprint in the United States. And we invested in it, and we invested in it heavily. We continue to invest in it, and it is paying off.
So talk to me about what steps did you guys have to do in order to keep operating here in the USA?
Well, we again, as I said at the beginning, we're a global textile manufacturer, so we do benefit from offshore production as well. We do about 10% of our global production in the United States, and there has to be a good fit. So from a price point perspective, you know, if you're saying good, better, best, what comes out of the United States, we call it Mill of America. What comes out of here, our Mill of America, our MOA as we like to call it, is that best price point. So it wouldn't make sense for us to make, textiles that we sell in retail to a dollar store or to an economy budget hotel chain out of here. But the higher price point, we can justify it. And obviously, you have to take a sharp look at your costs and consistently manage it. Technology, automation definitely plays a key. Just keeping a sharp eye on expenses, and then going after aligning ourselves with the right customers for this mill.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, this is a good lesson for any industry out there that is facing global competition and changing economic environments in different locations. So you guys have went through it, you've survived. What role has digital transformation kind of played over the last few years in keeping you guys up and running?
Oh, it's played a tremendous role. This facility, we're proud to employ around 300 folks here in Griffin, Georgia. But without the technology, we wouldn't be able to keep our costs down. I mean, textiles is a very old industry, but the equipment to make textiles is not. It's pretty advanced. It's automated. This whole Internet of Things plays a part into it as well. We've created some of our own whip systems to track raw material from, we basically, in the United States, what we're called yarn forward, we get spools of yarn from spinners. Overseas, we're pretty vertical. We spin our own yarn. We take the cotton, we spin it into yarn. But here we're yarn forward. We can track that yarn forward from the time it reaches our dock all the way through the finished product, and through a whip system that we and our smart people, our IT team, and some of our engineers created, as well as connection to our customers and their systems to be able to communicate well with them in orders to lessen the impact on a customer service person, for instance.
Got it. So I imagine that for creating your textile products, it requires fewer man hours per unit of text or product today. And talk to us about the automation that you have in place there on the manufacturing floor.
We have state-of-the-art looms. So we were fortunate enough to move into a new facility in the U.S. We still own our old one about a mile down the road, but a building came up for sale that was an automotive parts supplier, and we completely gutted it, renovated it, and it doubled our capacity. And when we moved in here, we ordered basically the latest and greatest looms, finishing equipment, dryers, everything you can think of to make this as the most advanced textile mill in the world. And we've also used technology to do other things. I'll give you a good example. So this mill, we do a lot of hospitality business and a lot of retail. Well, retail, the difference is the color. There's color in retail textiles, and in hospitality, there's very little color. It's mostly white. So when we would get a new, we had a license for the Jessica Simpson line that we sold primarily to department stores. Mm-hmm. They wanted their brand as different coral and shrimp and all these bohemian colors, where it would take our folks 20 times to get the color matched perfectly how it was intended to be. So we created a computer system to be able to read terry, because terry is 3D. Because unlike a sheet, or like if you go to a Home Depot and you take a paint chip in, they can match that, but you can't do that with terry because the loops are three-dimensional. And
wow.
So we trained a computer to read color, and now the computer will tell us, and we can get it right 1, max 2 tries, any color. It gives us the dye recipe to put in our big machines, which saves us a lot of time and money, because if you get the color wrong, you're running these huge, like thousands of pounds of terry are wasted.
Oh man, these are areas that I've just never pondered before. That's fascinating. So let's talk about you a little bit here, Rob. You came out of digital. You came out of a cloud computing background where you had a leadership role. How was moving from a pure technology kind of a senior role into a traditional industry that's literally thousands of years old? Talk to us about that transition.
It was quite a transition, but you know what? For me personally, business is business, and every business has challenges, and I like challenges and solving problems, and I kind of problems I think are more industry agnostic, where everyone has certain problems with achieving their sales number, hitting their margin number, their efficiency number. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. There's different nuances to it. So funny story how I actually got here. My former company was a startup, a cloud-based computing startup. It was a strategy software that would tell a company exactly how they're performing on their corporate strategy. I was at a pitch to a bunch of investors in front of 650 people in downtown Chicago, in a big auditorium, and my CEO of this company was in the audience, supporting a former employee of his who was also pitching that night. Long story short, when I decided to leave my previous startup, he heard I was available, and we had scheduled a 1-hour meeting in downtown Chicago that turned into a 4.5-hour meeting, and here I am now in textiles, so running our hospitality business. So
that's a great story. I love to hear those because all of us fall into our roles kind of in similar ways. It seems like we're unexpected ways, I should say. So taking that background here, let's talk about sales. You're president of hospitality sales there at 1888 Mills. Talk to us about how you see things changing. Where's digital transformation impacting sales and marketing in your part of the world?
It is impacting. And if you don't mind, I'll go back because I started in the retail side of our business, helping, reporting to the division president there and helping him run that. And we first saw it happening there. Obviously, what's going on in the retail industry, everyone has read about the impact that Amazon in particular has had on retail. So one of the things we saw on that side of the business was the need to focus on that sector because it was growing so much. So what we did is and I helped get it off the ground, is we founded an e-commerce division to focus purely on selling textiles through that channel, as well as all the other retailers the brick and mortar guys were having to become omni guys pretty quick and helping walk them through that transition. So we created an e-commerce division and focused on the pure plays, whether it's Amazon, Wayfair, Overstock, to the omni channels like Walmart.com, when they own now Hayneedle and Jet, and Bed Bath and Beyond.com, Target.com, Kohl's.com, all of those guys. And what we see now happening there is now starting to happen in hospitality as far as digital transformation. I'll give you an example. I was just at the Wyndham Hotels conference last month. Wayfair was there, and they partnered together to announce a partnership that allows the franchisees of Wyndham to use the Wayfair platform to replace any item in their room.
Oh, suddenly your sales channels moved.
Yes, I can see, not officially yet, but I can see it going that way. Right now, it's just a platform to buy approved and mandated items for the franchisees. I think that is a big step in hospitality. The other thing that we see happening in the hospitality side of the business is, much like Amazon has impacted the retail side, the Airbnbs of the world are impacting the hospitality side. And for manufacturers, how do you reach that audience? For distributors, which we cater to in the hospitality side, how do they get that customer? And some of them have different strategies. Some of them are partnering with, say, an e-commerce giant like Amazon, or like I mentioned, Wyndham with Wayfair. Some of them are offering, there's a certain hotel chain, I can't say who, but they're partnering with Amazon to allow, so if you stay at their hotel, you can buy their towels, which we make, off of Amazon now.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And then there's one of the largest hospitality distributors created their own separate website, so you don't know it's them. They're marketing it out to the public to get those folks that may be potential Airbnb hosts or may own a few small bed and breakfasts to get their business through that website, not through the traditional salesperson. So it's starting to impact the hospitality business from that point of view.
So talk to me about what you do to respond to that. I mean, do you have like a war room downstairs somewhere where you have a bunch of millennials staring at screens going, a new channel, we need to plug into this and support it. So we need content. We need to explain it this way. It has this kind of messaging. It is going to the younger, hipper set. So we need new kinds of descriptions that align with their interests. I mean, how does that actually work? What's the tactics there?
You know, we do have all of that activity going on. It might not happen in one war room, but yes, you know, from our end, you know, and I'll go back to the retail side for a second, then jump back to hospitality. On the retail side, what we're seeing happening in the power of digital transformation for us is, you know, we have a showroom in New York City, like most in our industry do, and twice a year there's an event called Market Week. It's usually the week after Fashion Week. All the retail buyers come to New York and they're looking to buy. So if they're at the spring market, they're buying for what's in store next spring, which seems kind of archaic to the generation today, millennial. Like, you're buying now for next year.
Yeah. What about fast fashion in textiles?
Exactly. So that's what I'm getting at. That was fast fashion. But what we're able to do now is, you know, and it's pretty subjective. What goes in stores is really up to the buying team, and it's their opinion. So, you know, and they have, just like everyone else, wins. They win in some areas where they pick something great, and they fail in others and have to mark it down and get rid of it, and it costs them some money, and it costs us money too. So what we're able to do now through the new age we're in is we're able to say, look, here's what you should put in your store, and here's why. We have put it ourselves out there, whether it be on a pure play, like whether it's an Amazon or a Wayfair or whatever, and we can actually give them sales data. It's selling. So we can give them, and I think that's the next frontier for us is it's the digital transformation has impacted our product development cycle, where we were aligned with the retail model,
right?
Where we're designing for Market Week, we build all this stuff, and we know it's going to go in store a year from now. Well, now we're saying, no, we're designing for the end user, not for the buyer. And that's what we're going to focus on, and we're going to bring the buyer on that journey with us.
Oh, that's a fascinating movement in what happens at what stage in the process. The data is changing that model, and you guys have a wider, more complete view than one particular store that just may be on a downturn or just may not have visibility across the market like you guys would.
Exactly. Because we can view, you know, the buyers and the retail side, they just know their business, and they know it very well. And they might know some of their competitors, but we've got a view across different price points, across different types of retailers. Now you take that to hospitality. We're not quite there yet in hospitality, but it's coming. And I think the first signs of that were this Wyndham partnership with Wayfair. Amazon is going to some of the hotel brands and saying, let us have what's in the room, so guests can buy the sheets that they're sleeping on if they like them, or the towels they use if they like them as well.
Well, I can talk from personal experience. I've actually slept in a bed at a Hilton and said, you know, and then pulled the covers and sheets back to say, what brand is this? You know, I love this.
Yeah, exactly. And with Hilton, they'll have their own label on it, but you don't know who makes it. But now you'll be able to.
Yeah.
I think you'll
got it. So talk to me about where you see the industry moving over perhaps the next 3 to 5 years, Rob.
You know, in the hospitality industry, I mean, I think what's going on right now is extreme segmentation. So a lot of these traditional, you know, you name it, there's consolidation and segmentation. So what I mean consolidation, I mean, there's acquisitions going out there left and right. Wyndham just bought La Quinta. The big one last year was Marriott absorbing Starwood. Mm-hmm. And then, but also what you're seeing is travelers' expectations are different now with the millennials. There's leisure travel where they might travel for work, but take an extra day, take a day off and explore the area they're in. So what the big, you know, with the consolidation, you only have a few brands left, but what they're doing is they're creating new sub brands to reach these different millennials and different millennial activities and various price points. So I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see there's less choice really out there, but the appearance is you're going to have more choices because, you know, whether it's an IHG, a Starwood, a Hyatt, a Hilton, they're launching all of these brands. And some of the brands that people want are these hip, what they call soft brands, which they might not have a strong affiliation to a major brand like, let's say, a Starwood, but they want access to that reservation system. So they'll align themselves there so you can earn your Starwood points for staying at a boutique-like hotel. And for us, the challenge is, like you said earlier, is there a war room where you're like, how do we reach these millennials? Well, we have to approach that segment of the market, the boutique, soft side of the market, differently than we have in the past as approaching, like we want to sell to, say, like a Westin. Mm-hmm. That is, we've got a great way to do that we just developed, and we've previewed with some people, but that's what keeps us on our toes.
Oh yeah, some of the changes I've seen. Last week I was working in New York City and stayed in a Marriott new brand, Moxie.
Yes,
which was that new model, right? And it was hip, and there's really no furniture in the room because they just call them bedrooms, and the living room is downstairs in the community area. And so there's lots of soft chairs and couches. And so it was, I loved it. I loved the whole experience. It was like laminate floors, you know, everything is just really cool. But I could tell it was different kinds of textiles, different kinds, you know, a lot of leather on textiles in that room. So they had leather like bands to hang up your different pieces of furniture and textiles. The pillows and stuff were hanging from the wall instead of on a piece of furniture because there was no furniture. You know, all those kind of really interesting things that has to impact you guys. And plus, you know, you go to Marriott website today and they're trying to give you an experience home instead of a hotel to stay in. You know, if you're going to go to New York City, you can try one of 200 homes to stay in it as opposed to the hotel. So this is, you know, I could just see how this would be impacting you guys.
Exactly. And why are they doing that? It's because of the Airbnbs of the world. It's a way for them to combat that. And another thing I think you're going to see in hospitality, you're already seeing it, is technology. The interface in the guest experience when you're staying at a hotel is, you know, a lot of places now, I mean, Starwood has done this for a while now, where it's certain, like at a W, you can use your phone as your key to get into your room. A lot of people make their reservations now on their room, or their reservations on their phone. You check into some hotels and you'll instantly get a text from the concierge asking how your stay is, if there's anything you need. To one extreme, there's a hotel in Japan where there's not a single person there. You walk in and a computer, some of them are shaped like dinosaurs, walks in, takes your reservation, a conveyor belt takes your bags to your room. You have a tablet to control your room, order food, anything you want. So I think the other trend is technology is becoming more and more a part of the guest experience, and that will continue to happen. Perhaps not to that extreme. If you don't like people, perhaps that Japan hotel is for you, but it's definitely becoming ingrained in the guest experience.
Well, I just want to take a moment here to say this is incredible. You know, the amount of digital transformation and technology that you guys are interacting with in, you know, an industry that's thousands of years old. It just really it's inspirational to know how you can apply that to those kind of traditional businesses, and just phenomenally interesting to see how all this technology is now part of what you guys are doing there, Rob. So thank you so much for sharing your insight, wisdom, and your experiences with us.
You're welcome, and I think you're going to see more and more of it. We're working on some things with tracking pool towels for hotels, so they can better track their inventory and track what they need to order and when. I mean, this is just the beginning.
Oh no, how am I going to restock my towels at my home if you start doing that? Thanks, Rob.
All right, thank you.